Kyle Rayner, the White Lantern successor of Hal Jordan.
The Second Coming, the badass action stick figure successor of the Chosen One.
Art is an expression of human creativity and skill, and imagination being represented typically as something visual, and even abstract typically being appreciated for its beauty, passion, or emotional power, and being something that satisfies our entertainment and thrills our minds.
But no one is as passionate with art using the same creativity and imagination as these two.
With the power of art to create life, they can bring multiple creations to life and even be powered by fundamental energy of life, being able to conquer infinity with their might.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their armor, weapons, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. The universe, the totality of everything which exists, can be a very dangerous place, expanding infinitely and with countless of galaxy clusters. However, multiple dangers can wonder, due to the malice that its life shows.
And in the world of DC, aka Detective Comics, there are multiple villains that are really evil and just want to threaten all of reality itself. From interdimensional beings, alien tyrants, or even furious kitties.
Yeah, and that's not even talking about the crazy villains, some even being psychopathic humans and others being insanely obsessed evildoers with nothing but hatred. However, just as there are multiple villains, there are also multiple heroes who inspire us to become better, be braver, and be stronger, and make better actions every day.
Like the Justice League, the Teen Titans, and more. But the one organization we're going to talk about are the Green Lantern Corps. Basically, Space Cops, an intergalactic legion that was created since a millennia by gods similar to the mix between goblins and the Smurfs.
But between all the lanterns, everyone's favorite and the greatest one was known as Hal Jordan.
Yeah, you sure? You may hate him if you remember what happened on that episode. I mean, he should have been a comedian. I mean, he's got quite the time, huh? Fun pranks. Ink's not gonna lie, Wiz.
Don't remind me. That episode was such a chaotic, toxic fest. But anyways, Hal is known for his immense creativity and willpower. It is so unbreakable that he can even defeat menaces such as the evil Fall Sinestro. Or some may clown on him saying that yellow is his weakness. Therefore, the man with the yellow hat from Curious George would be able to beat him.
The cause of having such weakness. I mean, DC's got quite some weaknesses, like Superman kryptonite, the Flash not being able to run greatly on a floor with a lot of ice, and you know, those kind of disappointing weaknesses.
However, even Hal would lose his willpower, as he had to witness how his hometown got destroyed, which made Hal lose his mind. He snapped and ended beating the snow out of every Green Lantern in his time, defeating everyone in his path, absorbing the Power Central battery, the true Green Lantern.
So he ended up coming into the Emerald Tyrant known as Parallax.
There was just one survivor in Parallax's massacre, known as Ganthet, who, with the last of his might, gave the last Green Lantern ring in the universe to a human, and his name was Kyle Rayner.
And Kyle was the Chosen One. Ironic, isn't it, since one of Alan Becker's characters has that name? All thanks to his indomitable willpower, just like Hal!
Initially, Kyle obviously wouldn't have the idea of what's happening, but over time, he would have to master and learn the usage of the Green Lantern ring, using it to his full potential, as it is one of the most dangerous weapons in the universe.
But let's be honest, Wiz, Mordecai from regular show The Big Bird from Sesame Street, Daffy Duck, Colonel Sanders, and a box with conscious managed to use the power of Green Lantern's willpower too.
But the power of the ring is no joke. It can grant any wish to reality that its wielder imagines. The only real limit to the Green Lantern ring is the user's imagination. But Kyle's got a lot of imagination and creativity using it for that to matter. I mean, he is very passionate, recognized artist with a lot of love for manga, anime, and pop culture, and his favorite anime even being Gurren Lagann.
Whiz, didn't Kyle face Seaman on that episode?
Yeah, however, that fight was a bit outdated in hindsight. So, yeah.
Okay, but does this affect his fight with the second
What
coming?
we are watching, Second Coming is also immensely powerful. So, maybe yes, maybe not. Anyways, continuing. Kyle can also shoot energy beams, create force fields, control gravity, become invisible, intangible, control matter, travel back in time, warp reality, even erase things off of existence.
And Kyle's imagination allows him to create pretty much any weapon you imagine, from literal energy fists, energy blasts, bazookas, giant energy projection, hell, even projected energy giant version of Superman himself?
Hell, Kyle even affected the fabric of space to stretch the longitude of a plank over a billion times. That's like stretching an inch to the point its size becomes irrelevant.
Lanterns also control space-time, so they can fly so fast they create a Speed Force singularity. Remember, the energy source that makes the Flash have enough kinetic energy to be absurdly fast? Yes, that type. And access to the Speed Force implies accessing into a higher dimensional plane from space-time, requiring immeasurable speeds that cannot be measured by scientific numbers and counts far surpassing the speed of light itself. Hell, the rings even come with an AI that can operate just as fast, automatically protecting its user from any danger, like when Kilowog survived being erased from existence, even surviving the nonsensical retcon events of the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
The ring is also powered to be even more powerful with the user's willpower, and Kyle's indomitable willpower and imagination is unimaginable. He is even an artist drawing bizarre comics, and Kyle can create constructs which are his specialty, from samurai armors, pirate ships, giant dragons, functional computers, and super fighting robots.
Hell, Kyle can even make his creation strong enough to lift the Spectre. The Spectre! What's his weight? Literally infinity! Damn, Kyle's got infinite lifting strength. Doing this casually with his willpower, and Kyle with his just Green Lantern form could contain a big bang that could affect the DC infinite multiverse. And DC has higher spatial mathematical 12 to 13 dimensions, so this is just Green Lantern Kyle, be it hyperverse.
Legit, the only weakness of the ring is it needs to be recharged, with a limit of usage being at 24 hours. Especially, think of it like a phone. Useful and powerful, but needs to be recharged. However, after relinquishing the power of an ion, Kyle modified his Green Lantern ring to have emergency reserve of backup power, so it will never run out of juice, even if it cannot maintain 100% power charge.
But Kyle's greatest weakness is himself. With a great power, he ended being really irresponsible due to having his own insecurities and duties. And the reflection for this was too late, when a villain killed his girlfriend Alex brutally, literally put her body inside a fucking fridge. Man, that's having no damn chill.
And this experience traumatized Kyle, making him grow up to become even more responsible as a hero. He ended taking his business as a superhero even more serious, joining and showing his heroism into the Justice League, faced Parallax Hal, and even rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps better than ever. But Kyle's journey was just starting to save Ganthet from an emotional lobotomy. He mastered all the colors of the emotional magnetic spectrum, with 7 colors existing. Yellow represents fear, which allows Kyle to manipulate the worst fears and insecurities of your mind, feeding his power by fear. Orange represents greed, which allows Kyle to absorb his enemies' attacks and souls. Red is anger, which ends ripping off Kyle's heart, replacing his blood by rage and hatred. And the more anger he's experienced, the more he becomes stronger. Blue represents its hope, which allows him to heal wounds, resist mind control, and overcharge his ring. Feeding from hope, indigo represents compassion, which reduces the willpower for fighting from his opponent, and open and connect portals through space, time. And sapphire represents love, With it, he can trap enemies into a crystalline energy to control minds, but Kyle only mastered it after forgiving himself for not being able to save Alex from dying. Learning to love himself and combine all his powers, he can make enemies be transmuted into rainbows, and when all lights of the emotional spectrum combines, he becomes into the powerful, the mighty, and legendary White Lantern.
This gives Kyle literal total control over life energy, being powered by the physical manifestation of all life in the DC multiverse, being way more powerful than any other Lantern, way stronger than even Hal, who could channel the energy of the true Green Lantern across the infinite multiverse, manipulating an emotion. An amount of energy, and Kyle can heal any wound instantly, purify energy, can even face the Anti-Monitor, and this dude, who is literally a crisis-level threat. Threatening to destroy the infinite DC universes in DC. Anti-Monitor is one of the sons of Perpetua, being one of the most powerful beings known to exist in the 6th dimension, being superior to even Mr. Mix. And Mr. Mix is already an enemy who constantly fights with Superman.
And we know the absurd feats Superman has, from lifting planets, sneezing solar systems, lifting a small key with the mass of the sun, surviving universes being destroyed, defeating threats who can destroy infinite multiverse, and even literally flying so fast he travels back in time. Can kind of keep up with the Joker and even break the bonds of infinity. And Emperor Joker, with 99.9% of Mix's powers, warps the universe, Earth and Hell, by his own image, outlasting Highfather Ganthet, Zeus, Shazam, even Darkseid, Spectre, Hal, Dr. Fate, and Tachyon and Mix can warp the multiverse and unimagine it with his powers, move freely through hypertime, and perceive Superman's infinite realities as fiction.
So yeah, White Lantern level Kyle Rayner scales to crisis level threat, comparable to Superman, and upscaling his villains able to literally cause outer-versal feats. Plus, he has the power of all life in the multiverse. This includes Superboy Prime, who Kyle also scales. And thought Superman is crazy? Well, Superboy Prime is even crazier. This dude can casually retcon infinite multiverses with just his punches, and he even once beat up Mr. Mix himself. But he also scales to the Darkest Night and Perpetua herself. Superboy Prime defeated the Darkest Night, who threatened to destroy all of reality. The Darkest Night is also nigh omnipotent, and he defeated Perpetua, the goddess who created all of DC. DC cosmology literally contains infinite universes, higher spatial dimensions, and even the God Sphere, where concepts still on a platonic level, then Limbo, the Bleed, the Source Wall, and everything beyond, on infinitely larger than before, and platonic concepts exist outside space-time structure, acting as a primary and secondary cause, is from every physical world, and their nature is purely abstract and transcendental, not bound to any of the rules that make up the material reality, not having any quantifiable system, being able to establish any base of existence outside of any dimension higher. So yeah, White Lantern Kyle surprisingly has multiple outer-versal feats.
But this is not even counting the life equation. This is where Kyle gets even crazier. When he access to the source and achieve the life equation, becoming the source code of reality and mathematical proof that life is worth it, and it is the counterpart of the anti-life equation. So Kyle can alter all reality at will, and even threaten gods like Darkseid, who is the platonic concept of evil in DC. And the life equation is a conceptual artifact from a superior plane, coming from a platonic plane that's more real than us in a certain way. Kyle even reshaped the life equation itself, created his own source wall, which is even beyond the platonic conceptual plane of the sphere of gods, which is beyond space-time and beyond the bleed, which is infinite dimensional, containing all dimensions, and the sphere of gods contains infinite limbos too. Infinite heavens and hell, with heaven a realm of the sphere of gods containing platonic shapes. So Kyle Rayner with the life equation is even high outer-versal.
Damn, I think his fight with Simone was quite outdated in hindsight. I mean, scaling to Superboy Prime is just crazy. But fortunately, the life equation made Kyle too powerful that even he struggled to control it. And it manifested consciously as being composed by his own fears and insecurities known as oblivion.
So to avoid the power corrupting Kyle, he divided the power, so he made the White Lantern Corps to finally defeat Oblivion and proved himself as a legendary, fearless hero. Despite Kyle was all his life fighting for the gods gave to him, he was always determined to thrive, charging the literal weight of the multiverse on his shoulders. And now Kyle could give limitless power rings to people who weren't sure to handle the power, telling them can't teach someone how to use the power, but one wielding the power needs to learn how to use it, committing mistakes until mastering it. So this shows that despite the fact that Kyle isn't perfect, he managed to improve it as a hero, conquering infinity, becoming the strongest lantern in the multiverse.
We're gonna use every bit of power we have left in our rings. Take one last shot at the android.
A blast like that could destroy half the planet.
Half a planet's better than none.
YouTube, a digital web platform that's known for having a lot of content, going from education to entertainment.
And there are a lot of cool YouTube series, such as Ed's World, Super Mario Logan, FNAF VHS, The Amazing Digital Circus, Stick Figures, Smosh, and more.
However, there are other YouTubers with series that can be seen as neutral, like VisiPop, and other YouTubers who are far worse, to say the least.
However, we know of a YouTuber who is actually a legend and way better at content being creative than the others when it comes to stick figure animation, and his name is Alan Becker.
Trust us. We know Ball. This YouTuber did content in 2011, and he may have done stick figures, but his animation, the style, the choreography, the fights, and animations he does are just simply clean and perfect.
And one of the many stick figures he made was known as the Second Coming. He was made 3 years after the Chosen One in late 2014, since the Dark Lord destroyed Alan's PC beyond repair.
After his creation, the Second Coming instantly came to life, starting to interact with everything he found on the PC. While Alan was away stumbling into fighting Stickman's website, meeting his friends being red, yellow, blue, and green,
over time, the Second Coming would discover his passion for fighting, and after he was found by Alan, when he and his friends made chaos in the PC, this led into a fight where the Second Coming was defeated, but instead of being deleted, he became friends with Alan after according to help each other when drawing, and the adventures of the Second Coming alongside his friends would start, and no matter which villain tried to do evil stuff, the Second Coming would be there to help.
Now for powers and abilities. He's got the huge package. Super strength, super speed, enhanced reflexes, greater endurance, greater agility, and more. And he would be really skilled. From the very first time he was introduced, the Second Coming fought characters such as the Stick Figure Gang and even the Animator. He has faced a lot of Mario characters, League of Legends characters, even Gold. And he's got fighting skills and experience against a lot of enemies such as Purple, King Orange, and the Dark Lord.
And the Second Coming is not just a fighting genius, as he knows how to do multiple fast-paced punches, kicks, aerial attacks, and combos. But he also knows how to learn complex mathematical and physics concepts, even equations within minutes of learning what addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, you name it. He even understands its physics within an incredibly short time period, so he's an extraordinary genius when it comes to both combat and learning mathematics and concepts.
The Second Coming can also use all Adobe tools, even mostly doing this in his first appearance, using different tools like the bucket tool to instantly fill up spaces, even his own head at the eraser, which he can use to erase things out of existence. And Speak with the Text tool can use a lasso and more, but his most important weapon, the Flash Pen from Adobe Animate's animation software, serving with the same purpose as the OG tool, aka let the Second Coming draw whatever he desires into reality. However, it may not work outside the Adobe Animate app, but any of the creations made by Alan and the Second Coming himself come to life. With it, he can summon animals such as dragons, other stickmen, and they will will always defend him in combat, even if the Second Coming really can't control them himself. Additionally, allows the Second Coming to create weapons like swords, hammers, guns, barriers to entrap foes, and seemingly everything the Second Coming imagines, and literally anyone who has been trying to use it that's not the Second Coming or Alan have failed to use it successfully.
And if you think that having Adobe Animate isn't enough, the Second Coming also has Arsenal from Minecraft. Yes, Minecraft the video game itself. He's also been shown throughout the series to get items of this kind, such as the armor, the Minecraft diamond sword, many other swords, pickaxes, the potions, even fishing rods, and use basically any item or block in the game.
He also has the staff made by King Orange, now in the possession of Yellow. The Second Coming himself used it many times, so making this part of his arsenal makes sense. The staff works on placing a block on it, and it harnesses the true potential of the block. There has been multiple uses for it that allows the Second Coming to use many destructive and offensive blocks, such as the obsidian block when swung. The obsidian block displaces blocks ahead of the point of the impact, apparently doing so by teleporting them forward. An obsidian block has some recoil when hitting a block, bouncing the user back rather than traveling through, creating more of the obsidian blocks. Campfire works like a very effective flamethrower or blowtorch, to the point even sticks in a marshmallow turn into ash. The flames can be used to fight, similar to a rocket thruster. Diamond block has some electrical properties to the gold block, and also destroys a large amount of blocks, being essentially a hybrid between gold block and netherite block, with less weight to it in trade for less destructive power. Dispenser allows for loading and rapid fire launching of any projectiles compatible with it, such as the arrows, snowballs, fire charges, fishing buckets, and more. It can also be enhanced either with an enchantment table or enchantment table staff to improve its abilities. Gold block makes a staff into a light and quick melee weapon strong enough to break obsidian in a single strike and deflect the warrior's attacks, creating an electrical charge due to gold being an excellent conductor in real life, and also demonstrating a strong knockback effect, being stronger than iron and ancient debris but weaker than the rest of the blocks.
Grindstone gives the user access to an effective melee attack in the form of spinning grindstone, slicing objects with ease. Herobrine Head grants the user enhanced strength, speed, flight, and Herobrine's powers, though a bit weaker and without the ability to respawn clones. And can summon Herobrine's Head, which explodes as a TNT block. Iron Block is a good melee defense weapon, summoning the things made from iron, such as the chain of blocks, lightning block, which conjures lightning in the way of zaps and bolts. This also goes on the staff rather than on it. Magma block possesses fire aspect properties and allows the wielder to shoot fire, and can summon magma blocks. Redstone block, which can emit its energy into a laser that can causing redstone objects to activate to even a powerful beam which serves blocks in half. Something rare we have not ever done before, being able to even detonate TNT with its laser. Wither skeleton has different types of wither projectiles, which yield a powerful blast, likely giving the wither effect. And TNT with each swing and ejection of the blocks at distance, it instantly explodes on contact with a surface or entity.
And the Second Coming also can use defensive blocks for defense, such as amethyst blocks, which reflects lights and beams from redstone block. Emerald block turns the staff into a stronger, fast melee weapon that, if being used without any blocks attached, as well as being a very strong defensive tool, being able to block the brewing stand's potion effects, campfire's flamethrower attack, and lightning from the lightning rod, essentially deflecting blocks and powers that try to damage. It likely can also destroy netherite and destroy obsidian with ease. Cauldron and absorbs potion effects, leaving the users good as new. Skulk Sensor makes the wielder avoid and counter incoming attacks by moving where it won't land, and or doing something to avoid it, effectively giving the senses of the warden, even if they're not aware of it, shown by the Second Coming's use of it being a cool reflex move. Like Spider-Man's Spider Sense, he also has a crafting table. It's magnified in the sense it can craft multiple objects at once with available ingredients. An enhancing table, which allows the user to enhance an item with practically any form of enhancement, including the ones that would normally be impossible to infuse an item of their type with the enhancements being at any level, including ones usually not possible without a command block, such as Knockback 99, also used to enhance mobs or non-weapon and items or abilities, and portal frames, which makes portals for movement, furnace, which smelts or cooks anything that can be used on it immediately once it waves over the item, monster spawner block, which spawns mobs, even spawning in Chimera like mobs that inherit traits of multiple mobs in a single one, a note block, which can create sheet music that shows what is being played while also playing multiple instruments and notes at once. The notes can be used to attack too, and the music sheets can be used to keep moves in place while attacking, and the piston, which can retract and extend itself to allow for longer ranged combat or launch the wielder if positioned at an opposite angle of the floor. He even possesses the bedrock, similar to obsidian block, but instead pushes blocks with more precise ice control and allows to follow through when swinging and displace blocks stronger than obsidian and can create more bedrock. The barrier block is one of the most powerful blocks, creating barriers impossible for other blocks or stick figures to bypass, being used to deflect incoming attacks, but also offensively, since Yellow used this technique to break through the orb-possessed staff, though he was also thwarted by the orb being the strongest block in terms of defense, as not even bedrock can penetrate it. Brewing a stand allows him to launch splash bottles and lingering potion particles of seemingly any type, also firing out waves or streams of potion and effects. Bone block functions like bone meal, with it instantly fertilizing crops and saplings in a potential infinite amount. A cobweb block, which shoots web strings and cobwebs and can be used to impair their opponent around and swing around. The webs can also block the other staff to disable the staff entirely and fire multiple webs at extremely high speeds as projectiles.
Hell! Even without a staff, the Second Coming can harness the power of the Minecraft icon, but to a lesser degree. This gives him all the powers mentioned from before. Block and weapon creation, flight, the power to neutralize the super black hole, and King Orange, with it, has shown to fire charges and arrows, so the Second Coming should be capable of doing the same. And during their adventures, the Second Coming and his friends have a variety of video game arsenal, such as League of Legends, which gives them cool swords, speed boost, damage, it's even healing from kills, and he even has met Mario using the mushroom power-up, and he should use all the other power-ups the Sickman got in the video, like the Tanuki suit, the hammer power-up, a flying magical carpet, and the magical teleporting doors. Second Coming can also break the fourth wall, being able to interact with his animator many times. See from inside your PC, even interacting with the HUDs of video games he is in, and the files of certain games and such. He can also manipulate maths, doing amazing stuff, such as changing his position by instantly subtracting himself, creating shield bubbles which he can control the size of, even make a gun powered by infinity, and a big-ass laser which can shatter the lines between numbers and imaginary numbers, which is mathematically impossible.
He also has respawns, which allows him to resurrect from dying, thanks to Minecraft beds in the OG spawn points having 2 layers of resurrection. You could also argue through an animator versus animation before the stick figure gang died, so Alan refreshed the webpage where they seem to have been alive for a while, and the Second Coming theoretically also have that with his original drawing file data. And stickmans have their own physiology, since they aren't real as they're composed of data, making their bodies unique compared to living beings. So they lack organs, blood, and bones, surviving wounds, meaning meant to be fatal casually, like being stabbed in the chest, crushed relentlessly, absorbed by a black hole, falling into lava, and the vacuum of space. And they can keep going, despite those wounds, getting back up from almost any hit. But they still require digital food and water to survive. They can breathe underwater, but yet somehow they can't breathe in space? Yeah, Alan Becker's got some crazy logic.
And if you think that's crazy, the Second Coming also resists existence erasure, multiple times in fact, resisting the deletion of his own data, which is essentially information. So he has high godly regeneration. He even resists corruption that not even his friends would resist corruption from Dark Lord, but he did, as he can essentially corrupt and erase data itself, which he used to kill the Second Coming's friends. He got transmuted by the witch, but even then, the Second Coming can still move as animate object and even survive his data affected, as Dark Lord's corruption not only affects data, but also erases it.
And finally, he's got an awakened form. This being a state where he enters seeing his friends killed in this form, he gets powered by fundamental energy of life, as he was almost on death's door himself, and uses green energy and plethora, just like stat amplifications, regeneration, even restores code back into normal.
As for how powerful the Second Coming is, he scales to other stick figures like the Chosen One and Dark Lord, even defeating the Dark Lord's awakened form, who could casually shatter Alan's PC, which contains his entire universe inside. He also survived a blast from the staff used by King Orange, and it created the supermassive black hole, able to destroy 16 of Minecraft's worlds. And this even extends to dimensions like the overworld, with
editors know I am not fucking saying that, lol.
Possible seeds of the entire game. The Nether, an infinite-sized dimension, and the Second Coming itself can scale to mathematics themselves, as he was capable of surviving the most fancy formula of mathematics. So, the Euler formula, trapping him into a literal infinite higher dimensional mathematical portal, and Euler's identity was capable of reacting to a potentially infinite speed projectile. So in power, the Second Coming is high hyperversal level and infinite speed, but he also outran a white hole which was threatening multiple Minecraft worlds, making the Second Coming be 524 billion times massively faster than light to potentially immeasurable too.
But the Second Coming isn't perfect. He apparently dislikes being alone, as he went insane after the Animator ended his friends, constantly seeking some company due to this, so his biggest weakness is his loneliness. However, we don't need to mess with the powerful stickman created by Alan Becker. Alright, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once and for all.
It's time for a death battle!
So this is some sort of digital reality. Well, that's pretty cool. Hey, dude. I'm the Green Lantern officer, Kyle Rayner. I found this reality, and I've been wondering to find out if there's any danger in this reality. Do you know anyone who'd be dangerous here? The world of Minecraft. Cool, but ow! The stickman is stronger than he looks. It actually hurts. This would be an interesting. fight. So alright, Orange Stickman, bring it on!
Fight! Dragon Fist!
Shing! Oh, well, this does give me an idea. Oh my god, what the fuck is that? The actual Green Lantern fighting with a literal stick figure? Wow, the Green Lantern sure is cool, but, Daddy, why a stick figure? The fuck, Jeffy, are you blind? You were just seeing one right there. Yeah, it looks more like a literal drawing made by a 7-year-old to me. Oh my god, what the heck do you think a stick figure is, Jeffy? Or a drawing made by a 7-year-old. Being insanely stupid right now, Jeffy, like, god damn it. Oh, hey guys, it's good to see you both together. Wait, what's happening? I don't know, for some reason Green Lantern is in our house facing a stick figure and Jeffy thinks it's a drawing of a 7-year-old. Well, that was weird. God damn it, just look at what they did to the house. Wow, I never thought a 7-year-old drawing be so cool. Like, just look at how he was moving, throwing those punches and such. The last time, Jeffy, a stick figure is not a 7-year-old's drawing. How many times do I have to tell you this? I am a lantern. We do the impossible. See the invisible, touch the untouchable, break the unbreakable. Stop fighting. Think about your fear of death, the love for your friends, the passion for life, your hope in the future.
You're not gonna defeat me that easily. My friends are counting on me to return back to them. So I am choosing life to win, and I will not fall here. This won't be my limit. I've got your limit right here.
You made a good choice. Oh wow, definitely a crisis level threat. But fortunately, for this there's something I can do. Time, huh? Thanks for the tip. I admit, you're way tougher than you seem, Orange Stick Man. However, after we are done fighting, I'm taking you. In brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light! You'd make a good Lantern. The Second Coming. You have been chosen.
Man, that was lame. There was not even a death.
This fight, while on paper seeming like a stomp, when in actuality, this was ultimately one of the closest fights we've had on the show.
But Wiz, how does a literal stick figure put up such a good fight against a literal DC superhero? It's DC, Wiz! DC!
While surprisingly it seemed that Kyle would win, knowing just how crazy his feats are, and the Second Coming looked like a weak stick figure, while researching both, we found out the fight was crazily close to the point that the winner actually did struggle just to win.
Well, in power, Kyle literally managed to contain a Big Bang that was affecting the DC multiverse in 12.3 dimensions. That's really strong, but the Second Coming literally can destroy all the Minecraft universes and worlds, even infinite dimensions with the staff, surviving attacks from King Orange. Not to mention that the Second Coming survived infinite higher mathematical dimension portals from Mueller's identity. So the Second Coming, surprisingly, was infinitely stronger than Green Lantern Kyle.
After we researched Kyle further, we found out his White Lantern form was even stronger than that of Infinite Dimensions. His White Lantern form defeated the Anti-Monitor, who is one of the most powerful sons of Perpetua, and one of the strongest in DC, even outlasting people like Mr. Mix, who is going to unimagine the multiverse, perceives infinite versions of Superman as fiction, and even warps reality into a multiversal scale, but that's not the whole thing. Remember Superboy Prime?
Yeah, Kyle is powered by all life in DC. And that includes him, and he scales to him too. Superboy Prime is the same guy who can retcon infinite multiverses out of existence with his punches. Not even mentioning how he's superior to Mr. Mix, and how he defeated the Darkest Knight, who could fight Perpetua, who made all of DC cosmology. DC contains higher dimensions, the sphere of gods, where concepts are on a platonic level, limbo, bleed, source wall, and everything being infinitely larger than before, platonic concepts, existing out of the structure of space-time, acting as primary and secondary causes for every physical world, with nature being purely abstractal and transcendental, not bound to any of the rules that make the material reality, not having any quantifiable system being able to establish any base of existence outside of any higher dimensional hierarchy. So Kyle Rayner was outerversal compared to the Second Coming's high hyperversal. Even with his awakened form, which scales to the Dark Lord, corrupting and destroying his friends, erasing them and their data physiology, and this is not even mentioning the life equation, which allows Kyle to manipulate reality, threaten Darkseid, who's the platonic concept of the DC multiverse, defeating Oblivion in the manifestation of Kyle's fears and insecurity, platonic concepts being more real than us in a certain way, and Kyle reshaping the life equation itself to fight against power, creating the source wall, which is beyond the bleed, which is infinite dimensional, containing all dimensions and the sphere of gods, containing infinite limbos, infinite heavens, and hell, even containing platonic shapes, making Kyle high outerversal. So yeah, Kyle was way stronger when factoring in White Lantern and life equation, even if Second Coming is initially stronger.
For speed, the Second Coming may scale to the Euler's identity, who dodged an infinite equation and ran out of a black hole, which threatened all Minecraft worlds, so he was immeasurably fast. But Kyle was faster into that. I mean, he can access the Speed Force, which is a higher dimensional realm for space-time, and scales to Superboy Prime, who scales to Superman, who broke the bonds of infinity. And Superboy Prime can face 3 Flashes at once, and we know how absurd the Flash is, time being faster than Superman, traveling across dimensions, even outrunning death, ending in the end of the multiverse with no life around anymore. So Kyle was faster into immeasurable scaling than the Second Coming.
But for skill and intelligence, Kyle may be a talented artist and experienced fighter, but Kyle admittedly focuses in the usage of his willpower. or in constructions, while Second Coming is more of a fist fighter, facing a lot of crazy skilled opponents like Dark Lord and King Orange, and Second Coming is specialized into fighting, having fought for years in direct physical combat, with really fast-paced coordinated attacks, and the Second Coming can learn mathematical and physics definitions in seconds. Even do this in question of minutes. The Second Coming had a lot of intellect, which, when it came to mathematics and combat, which made him more skilled and intelligent, surprisingly. But the deciding factor on this matchup was one thing: their powers and abilities and willpower. Both had a lot of imagination when it comes to using their powers, make creations from literal creatures, other characters from their own verses, and do even crazier things that allow to make them create basically anything with their imagination and creativity, even having the power to mess with reality itself in ways. But the Second Coming definitely had crazier survivability thanks to Minecraft Respawn. His tolerance to his pain via his data theology of lacking organs, bones, and such, and the ability to come back from his data being erased. So he has high godly regeneration, and Kyle simply, despite how crazy powers was, couldn't kill him. But Kyle had an advantage he could use to outclass the Second Coming with the power. Travel back in time before things get risky. It may not kill the Second Coming, but it will prevent him from using his strongest abilities like the Minecraft icon, Super Black Hole, and the emotion. Spectrum manipulation could be able to get rid of the Second Coming's fighting willpower, managing to make him give up.
However, it wasn't that easy to argue because the Second Coming wouldn't give up fighting. Fighting is literally his passion, and thinking about protecting his friends with multiple threats is going to give him even more mental fortitude to not give up. So, despite this could be effective, the Second Coming's determination made him mentally stronger not to give up. So it all came down to who of these had the greater willpower to win the fight. Also, while you could say the Second Coming may be able to solve the life equation to mathematical intelligence, it would take him a long time, and Kyle isn't an idiot who would just let him do that. And the Second Coming may have more natural arsenal without the usage of the Lantern Ring, but Kyle's multiple constructs and versatility with it managed to ignore that slight edge. So, at the end of the day, powers and abilities was a tie, as they could do about anything they imagined with their constructs, creations, and reality-affecting tools.
And their willpower is insane, as it can literally overcome infinity and an existence erasure itself. Their powers may not be enough, but their willpower sure would be a thing. However, there is a thing that the Second Coming wouldn't do, and is having a literal ring that from that. Second Coming may have mastered his skills, powers with the staff and Minecraft arsenal and Minecraft game icon. But Kyle has mastered greater power as he upscales Hal, who manipulated the amount of energy of a multiverse, mastered all the emotional spectrum, and literally mastered the White Lantern form, which represents all life in the multiverse. And he managed to defy the powers of the life equation, which even he struggled to fully dominate, and not even the Second Coming would successfully control. As Kyle being more powerful than him could handle, so Kyle's willpower to win the fight was greater. Given his greater stats, at the end of the day, he would end physically incapacitating the Second Coming and prevailing in a fight based on willpower via his greater control for power.
So in the end, the Second Coming was a very hard opponent to put down, with a lot of willpower and being one foe who just couldn't naturally die, and was a very skilled, dangerous, and creative and intellectual opponent, even being initially stronger. But Kyle's greater raw power with the White Lantern Ring, his greater speed, similar power with both, being able to create anything they desire to the point affecting reality, his experience against greater enemies, and mastering way greater power, and his greater willpower made him keep fighting until he could win.
I guess the Second Coming came in second place, while Kyle came in first place.
The winner is Kyle Rayner.